Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the information session for today, March the 18th, 2025. At this time, if you would, join me in a word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for Montgomery County. We thank you for the state of Alabama, how you have blessed us. Lord, we do pray for the families that were affected by the tornadoes and bad weather over the weekend, especially the ones that had a loss of life. Just ask you to comfort them and help them get back on their feet and help to get everything cleaned up and back to normal. Lord, just ask you to be with this commission today, to bless us. Thank you for our staff. Thank you for all the departments that serve Montgomery County and the fine people that do those. Just ask you to be with this commission today to help us make decisions that's going to be in the best interest of the entire Montgomery County. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Good morning. Items to be considered during the formal session. Item number 3, consider request to move temporary master mechanic to a part-time auto mechanic. Consider unbudgeted position fill request for 3 deputy sheriff's trainees. Consider grant application by the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office to Firehouse Subs. Consider bid award to Galls LLC to provide uniforms for the Sheriff's Office. Consider bid award to Summit Food Service LLC for inmate food service. Consider memorandum of understanding with Trinity Corrections Care LLC and Resident Healthcare Advisors LLC for IRIS, IRIS biometric system and Affordable Care Act health insurance enrollment for inmates. Consider memorandum of understanding with Five Horizons Health Services for treatment, medication, and support resources for non-federal detainees living with HIV. Consider amendment to the agreement with Hope Credit Union for the ARPA Small Business Program. Consider budget change request number 3 for the 2025 SLF Rodeo. Consider amendment to ARPA Critical Home Repair Program. Consider agreement with Booth Management Consulting LLC for ARPA monitoring and compliance services. Consider lease agreement with Quadient Incorporated regarding mailing equipment, supplies, and maintenance. Consider amendment number 2 to contract with Montgomery Armored Car Service Incorporated for armored car services. Consider reappointment of board member Robert Chauncey to the Pine Level Water Authority for a term expiring March 1st, 2031. Consider miscellaneous appropriations to agencies. Are there any additions?
Yeah, Dan's out. I was going to ask from on funding fellow commissioners. Last week I was able to give $5,000 to CASA. I know they came and made their request, and Dan had mentioned supporting as well, but if there was any consideration to try to get them to their funding requests, I would.
What was it? What were their funding requests?
We've done 10 in the past. They've asked for 15. Is that correct?
That's right. And I did 5 of it. Happy to support a little bit more. I know if there's a way to, if you guys did a little bit, and I know Dan had mentioned being supportive as well.
I'll do 2,500 out of designated to CASA.
Kendall, put me down for 2,500 out of whichever account they're going out of, so we can make it easier on Teresa and Tammy.
And Commissioner Harris, in designated revenue, did appropriate $2,000.
I'll do 2 from designated.
Well, that got them close to where they wanted.
That's great.
Also, Pierce, the organization that serves veterans.
Yes, sir.
And in my opinion, does a great job all around in terms of transportation, housing, job creation or skills development for a job.
Yes, sir.
They've asked for 25. I know I spoke with the chairman last week, and he wanted to wait until Commissioner Harris got back. I'm a little disappointed that he's not here today, and so I'm just wondering if we could do something along those lines today.
Do me 1,000 appears out of designated.
Oh, just a moment, did you?
Yeah, I was gonna do 2,000 appears as well.
Jim?
Kendall, put me down for 1,000 to Pierce.
Okay.
And then too, do we?
Good morning.
Who is that?
Good morning.
Somebody on the phone.
How are you? Did we all take care of Trenum?
Oh, before I'm sorry, Ms.
Oh, you got another one? Oh.
Yeah, I was just going to. So what did that give us for peers at this point?
That is $4,000.
Okay. And they asked for 25. I wanted, did you get a chance to speak with Dan, Mr. Chairman, about that? Okay.
I spoke with him, but not about that. But he can give next
Right.
meeting when he gets back.
Put me down for 10, please, from designated.
For peers,
Yes.
miscellaneous appropriations to education.
Hold on, Kendall, I got to, I need to do something for McKee, but let me wait. I'll have Jamise reach out to them and see what they're asking. McKee Junior High, don't worry about it, I'll do it. I'll have them reach out.
Okay. And we are back on designated revenue.
Did we take care of, did everybody do Trenum's, gala, scholarship gala?
How much, what were they asking for a $5,000?
Yes, you and I were supposed to, I think Donna Cooper sent one, I gave 1,500 toward that. You were gonna get 1,500, and I'm supposed to ask Justin for 15.
I'll do that, that's fine.
I'll do 15.
Programs, it's for the programs.
It's for the
at Turner.
programs, for the scholarship programs.
Yeah, it's for their programs, yeah, different programs they have,
It's
community
different programs,
programs.
thank you.
So I have 1,500 from Commissioner Moore Ziegler and 1,500 from Commissioner Singleton.
And Costanza,
Costanza, I'm sorry.
and Singleton.
Keep me straight.
Commissioner Sankey, are you giving to Trenum?
Not at this time.
Oh, okay.
Are there any other additions to designated revenue?
Yeah, we got, I got a request this morning from Ricky Thompson with the Sheriff's Department over the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office Foundation. They're having a event coming up on May the 8th for the community programs they have, and they're basically asking for a $5,000 sponsorship to help them with that program. Anybody want to split that with me?
It's for the Sheriff's Foundation?
Yeah, it's for the
Oh, well,
foundation.
I'll always split for the Sheriff Foundation.
We'll just do 1,000 each.
Yeah,
Well, I can't speak for Dan, but are you okay with 1,000 each?
I want to skip that and get back to something after you finish that.
All right,
Well, we could just split
Let-
five,
let's-
3
let's
ways.
let's split 5 3 ways, it's easy, just split it 3 ways, no need. Split it 3 ways.
we can just, let's just do 1,000 from each one of us,
Mm-hmm.
and then 1,000 from Dan, and if Dan don't agree, then I'll work that out with Dan to get it back to him or something. So that'd be 4,000.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Sankey, you wanted to go back to something?
Oh, yeah, you mentioned last week the girls that deal with ending period
Yeah, I
poverty.
think I helped them last
You
week.
did?
I
Okay.
did, yeah.
Women in training.
Women in training, yeah.
I know, yeah, that's a good point. I know Women in Training has reached out to a bunch of us,
They
but I
have,
think.
I got a
they-
question though, we were saying before that we were gonna start, everyone that keeps coming to us year after year, month after month, we were gonna start looking at them a little closely, now we don't look like we looking at them a little
Well, I made them
closely.
send in all the audited financials, they send in their
Yeah, but you're
budget.
seeing the audit financials, but the point I'm asking is this, are we gonna ever say, okay, hey, this year, let's see how you fare without us giving to you, rather than keep giving to you.
My understanding, they didn't ask for the last couple of years.
I gave last year, and I gave the year before that. I
Women
know
in
I did. They
training?
asked me,
Okay.
so I don't know about you. And I know Commissioner Sankey, because he's the one brought them to me, so.
Well, that'd be up to y'all today, because I already gave last week, so if anybody wants to do that.
I'm glad the commission supported, but I'm not gonna give additional.
Okay. Is there anything?
But I do think, Commissioner Ziegler is correct. We do need to have some criteria. We talk about it. We've been talking about it even prior to your arrival, Commissioner, and we hadn't put anything in place, so we do need to put something in
Right,
place.
yeah, because I remember you and I had a talk when I first got here. You
Yeah.
brought it to my attention, and we said, let's sit down and see, can we put something in place?
Well, we try to do it every year at budget time to kind of go through all these, because we know
We're
who
gonna-
all.
This year, we're gonna go through with a fine-tooth comb, so plan to bring y'all sleeping bag.
And I agree, I made the comments my comments at the end of the meeting, formal session last week was basically to that, we got so many requests now, we can't meet every request, and we have many that are repeat
Right.
every year till it gets to the point where they kind of put us in their budget that we're gonna do it, and for us to continue to be able to help some of these newer ones. The idea is that we try to help people get started, but we're not
can't
here to
continue to
sustain
fund
them.
it. That's
Yeah,
it.
but the tough thing is that they all do really good work. There's many of them, as Commissioner Sankey made a comment last week, there's so many that are duplicate. I wish somehow they'd all get together, and there's so many people doing the same thing.
I've tried that with at least
That
two or
just-
three
that
of them.
don't
but-
work.
That doesn't work.
No.
So it's up to us to sit there and then you just have to be honest. I have them come to me and I told them, okay, this person doing this program, why are you duplicating? And it's up to us to decide. So like I said, I'm looking at our new finance director, and she's gonna make sure we have sleeping bags and snacks on that budget day. So we can get this taken care of.
Yeah, but again, going forward, we're gonna request everybody that comes to us, they have audited financials, they have a detailed budget, tax returns or something, just so we can have that in our records for every one of them, so,
Mr. Chairman, before.
yes,
I wanted to talk about something on the formal agenda.
sure.
Sheriff Cunningham, excuse me, you mentioned last week when we talked about the Summit Food Service item that's on here, that they were giving you a little bit more in terms of quality of services, or am I mistaken about that? Because, and I want to be clear that that has nothing to do with the 3 meals that the detainees get every day. This service is not in reference to the 3 meals, right, that they should be getting every day. Just for clarification, because I think it might have been misunderstood that when we looked at these prices and so forth, that had something to do with the 3 meals that they are served every day, and that is not the case, correct?
When we looked at the prices, the
Yeah,
last meeting,
At some, it was such a, seemingly a big
you're not
discrepancy.
talking about the specialty items, are you?
Well, whatever this particular contract is for, what is this for?
That's for inmate food service.
And what do they get? Is it the 3 meals?
That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay. Has nothing to do with the items they get through the commissary?
No.
or this is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, all right. I was not, okay, very good. That's the answer to the question. And so, what was it about the less expensive bid, or the lesser bid, rather,
Okay, the
that
most
you were not
expensive bid,
satisfied with?
the most expensive one that you saw on there, that's with them preparing the meals, cleaning, doing everything. The next is the inmates cleaning.
Yes, sir.
The next one is be the inmates assisting them cooking, and they're having the supervisors to watch the inmates cook. So that's why you got 3 breakdowns. One is them doing everything, cleaning, cooking, and everything. The next one is the inmates doing the cleaning, and they're doing the cooking. And then the next one is them teaching the inmates to cook, and them just supervising the inmates. That's how it's broke down.
So right now, we're going with option 1.
Right now, the most expensive one, because they're cooking out at the youth facility. So they gotta cook, they gotta clean, they gotta do everything. They're not using inmates to assist. Can't take inmates out to the youth facility.
Okay, so it's a youth facility and the detention facility that we're talking about, or just?
Just,
For clarity, that's due to construction, right?
Yes.
Right. That's not long-term
No.
plan, right?
long-term plan is the cheapest one with them supervising inmates.
And these meals are being served, just to be clear on this. These
Breakfast,
meals.
lunch, and dinner.
Yes, sir, at the,
Jail.
okay, all right, okay.
You know, we're cooking them at the youth facility out there,
got
the
you.
Davis camp out there.
Yes,
That's where our kitchen at,
Okay.
while we're doing construction.
And the 20%,
I ain't got nothing to do with that.
nothing to do with.
20% is on specialty meals. That's if you want to order you a hamburger, pizza, french fries, a drink.
We ought to do a volunteer service and us
All
commissioners come out there and cook for you, Sheriff. That's what we need
No,
to do, don't we?
y'all need to come out there and
We need
watch.
to come out there, watch and cook for
Yeah.
you. That's what we need to do.
Yeah,
So these are, it's kind of two different items.
yeah, but they provide that same service for us.
I got you.
Yeah, the 20% is for specialty meals. That's for, on Friday nights, they sell hamburgers and pizza and hot wings and french fries and a 20-ounce drink. And then you all get 20% of whatever they sell.
Yeah, the 20% is a commission that comes to us. That's not a charge, I'd say.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's why it's,
That's, okay,
that's why it's a commission.
okay.
And they just charge whatever the market allows for them to
Yeah,
charge.
if you go to, normally, one of their specialty meals is about $17, $18. But I don't know, if you go to Burger King now, you pay that now for a Happy Meal or whatever, just about.
Ain't nothing happy about that.
I know.
I kind of like that Chick-fil-A, but yeah, I thank you, Sheriff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good morning. Normally I talk to y'all first. No, good. Thank y'all.
Any other expenditures for designated revenue? All right. Item number 20, travel and training request from the commission, engineering, and the sheriff. I do apologize. I did forgot to announce our scheduled attendees today. Our fabulous probate judge, Judge J.C. Love, and the executive director of Habitat for Humanity, Susan Johnson. Item number 1 on the future agenda items, probate judge J.C. Love.
He didn't want it. He said, get the new car to the commissioner. We don't need it.
Good morning, Chairman Singleton, Vice Chairwoman Ms. Moore Ziegler, and Commissioners Costanza and Sankey. Item number 1 was a request for an election center vehicle. That right now, we've got the 2020 vehicle that we got during COVID from a grant. We're able to purchase that, but our other vehicle, which is a 2006 Dodge minivan, is in need of replacement, and we are looking for the funds to be able to replace that with a utility vehicle that will allow the staff to also be able to transport themselves to conferences and meetings, but also be able to transport equipment as needed in getting ready for Election Day and up to Election Day, and as well as other outside festivals, voter engagement, public events that they are doing throughout the area.
Yeah, J.C., definitely the 2006, we need to, I agree, we need to replace that. What are y'all using now when you go to conferences? How are you transporting, how do you go, what are you driving when you go to conferences now?
Personal vehicles.
Yeah, that's what we do too, so. I had talked with J.C. earlier about this, and my opinion was that this needs to be in our budget for next year and not in the middle of the budget year, and I don't think he has an issue with that. I did ask him to come today just to brief us on it, so we'll be prepared come budget time that this is out there. Is there any questions for J.C. or elections?
No,
So if
you and
that's-
I've already talked about it, so I'm good with it.
That's the case. That means we wouldn't purchase it until after October?
It'll be October, yeah. We'd put it in the budget, in our budget hearings in July, and it would be effective in October.
to purchase outright or to finance or both?
We'll probably purchase it.
How many miles a year are y'all putting on that van, J.C.?
No, yeah, it's not a lot. I think right now, even though it's a 2006, I want to say it has under 50,000 miles.
Under 50?
Under 50.
Under 50,000 miles. So not a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot on it.
So,
So will we increase, and let me start with, I'm all for getting you guys what you need. I'm curious, I'm new. Do we see that we'll have an increase in number of miles driven or use will go up because we're getting an SUV versus a van? We'll be able to do more?
And I think one of the reasons, because of the condition of the van, that it's not really driven that much. Because there's a lot of work that needs to be done on it, and so we pretty much use the 2020 vehicle for the bulk of the driving. So it's there, we need to use it, but it's not kind of a primary vehicle, just because of the repairs that need to be done on it.
Fair. That's fair.
so right now you got a Dodge
Caravan.
Caravan, so is it, I'm not familiar with a Dodge Caravan, is it seated in, I mean, I know it has two front seats, is there a second row seats?
Yes.
So it's not a cargo van, it's not used to, it's used more to transport people than it is, or is it combo?
If we need, it's a combo because we can let the seats down
So-
and use it as a transport
And
vehicle
that's
as
been
well.
adequate for what you've used in the past as far as equipment, being able to transport equipment and all?
The smaller equipment,
So it's
yes.
not really used as a cargo van per se, it's used more to transport people? 'Cause
Correct.
the Tahoe is more people transporting it is. It's not
Right.
the most-
And
I've got a Tahoe, it's not the most effective for carrying cargo.
cargo, right. So what this would do is for when we have conferences like the probate conference that's usually in October, instead of us having to drive our personal vehicles, that would be more feasible for us to travel in the work vehicle.
Everybody go on one vehicle.
Right.
And also kind of tasked them, particularly now, as we're kind of a off-cycle year, except for the Pike Road municipal elections, to go out and not just see how good our operations are statewide, but also see how we match up against some of the operations in larger cities. And so I've really asked them to go out there and see how we match up, or how other states and other large cities are conducting elections, just to make sure that we're cutting edge and not just one of the best in the state, but also one of the best in the country.
So this new vehicle will be used exclusively for elections, right? Nobody else,
Correct.
just elections?
Yes.
And not for any, it's not somebody's gonna take it home with them at night and stuff like that?
No.
Okay, be here, okay.
And same as we've done with the van, even with the minivan, they'll all be wrapped to designate that they are an election center vehicle.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm sure we'll take that under consideration budget time, and I agree, you need something. I think we talked about it last year, but didn't do it, so.
All right.
And you got one more, don't you?
Oh,
Jack?
yes. The second was consider a increase in the probate judge's salary. As Commissioner may be aware, back in, I think 2022, that voters approved a local constitutional amendment requiring the probate judge position to be held by an attorney. And, based upon that requirement and ensuring that the salary was in line with that with, Jefferson and Mobile and a number of the other counties where that have recently, in the past couple of years, have paid pay bills, that this would tie it to a circuit judge's salary.
Okay, yeah. And that's what's in the purple that we see.
Yes.
And right now, you're below a circuit judge's salary.
I'm below, I think the salary now is like 114, some change, which is below the 125 that the municipal court pays, and I think the district judges are at 142, so this would make it 143.
Yeah, I was in support of this. I felt like the position of probate judge warrants this type of salary. And I don't have an issue with this. I'm supportive. I've talked to the lobbyists and I've talked to the local delegation. So, and
And-
this has been presented to them, I'm sure.
Yes.
now, So it's out there, okay.
And am I correct that that pay would only begin after 6 years?
Yes,
Okay.
You have to be here 6 years.
yes. So I would, myself, I
You've
would
been
hit
here,
it
what, five? It's four,
five,
Five now?
until November will be 6 years. November 15th of 2025 will be 6
Because
years.
you were appointed for about a year before you had to run, didn't you?
I was appointed 5 years before I had to run. So I got appointed in November 15, 2019. And so with probate judges, you serve out the
You just ran
balance.
again, didn't you?
Yes, so
Okay,
then I had to run in 2024, so then I'll be on the ballot in 2030.
You got 6 years, that's good.
Oh, well, yeah, that's, well, judges all have 6 years here in the state.
Any other questions for J.C.? I think that's
All right.
all you got, J.C.
And then just one final, this point I wanted to, it was something that we were in the process of working on before the switch from the city-county personnel, was really to, encourage the commission to really do an in-depth look at our salaries. That what we've been able to pay our employees has been way under market because the private sector has increased their salaries to get people back to work, during the COVID and post-COVID period. And it has really been challenging for us to be able to attract good, qualified candidates, as well as being able to retain the good employees that we do. And so just wanted to make sure that, that's something that we're really working towards to make sure that we are paying our people a good living wage, and make sure that those people who have been committed to us for a number of years will stay here with us and not seek other opportunities, but also make it easy for all of us who have departments here that are looking for employees, that it is a challenge to get people who are, one, qualified and that want to come to work. It's nothing about having an interview with people who have questions about, hey, what did you mean about, full-time employment? Or people who really just come in to try to get benefits, but really want to make sure that we're not losing people to the sheriff's department as we lost somebody just last week, or we're not losing them to the city or to the state, but in fact that now we're able to attract people and pull people from the state and pull people from the city and even pull people from the federal government to work here in the county. So I know we talk a lot about, us being the state capital and wanting to lead from example, and so that's just another area that we can do that and also reward our employees, so thank you.
J.C., you brought that to us at a previous meeting, right?
Yes, we met with you, and I think myself, the sheriff, and I believe Revenue, we all kind of expressed the difficulty that we have in trying to hopefully encourage the commission to do an in-depth study to look at our salaries and look at possibly increasing them.
For the clerks and all.
But yes, 'cause I think in that meeting that we've got about 39 clerks that probably about under 40,000.
Yeah, we had talked about budget time to go ahead and try to get that done, so we're good.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, J.C.
To go along with what probate judge was saying, we have HRM, our current HR consultant, did reach out a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about this in the beginning, was to look at all salaries for every position in the entirety of the Montgomery County pay plan to examine where that fits in terms of pay. So that is something that they're working on, and I know, again, Mr. Chairman and probate judge, we did talk about where clerks need to start. So I will get a better timeline for where HRM is going to be in terms of that study. Typically, a study like that does take about 6 months to look at every position, where it is, kind of where it ranks in municipalities of similar size and budget. So yeah, it'd be two things working at the same time, but it's nothing that we can't get solved.
You mentioned it too, Kendall, but when we're comparing to be sure that we are comparing the size of government, the size of services, the number of employees, because the number of employees that we're paying is a huge multiplying factor in each of those. And so when we're doing that study, which I think is great, that'll be something I know we'll all be very interested in.
Yeah, we can't just say, well, let's compare it to Birmingham and Jefferson County, because that's a different beast. Jefferson County is much more populous and much larger, and their budget reflects that. It is a budgetary issue. We'd like to do a lot for the people that we have to help them along as you know, economics dictates that things are going up, we'd like to be able to pay them more, but we can't have more expenditures than we have revenue, because that's not the way math works. So it's definitely something that they're going to look at, and we'll look at it as it gets to budget time, and as always, we'll see what we can do. So, yes.
Can I ask a non-agenda question while Judge is here?
Sure.
Do we have an update on the probate office relocation?
I'm glad you asked that. We have actually met a couple of times and kind of whittled through a list, and we've kind of got another list. We actually need to sit back down. Been meaning to get with Judge and his staff and Allison and Mr. Allen about us sitting down and looking at, we have a new set of potential options, so we probably need to do that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think we're probably, you know, for where we are, probably the next 30 days, really kind of have a
Game
a
plan.
A game plan in
Yep.
place, and then, you know, it would be my preference to, you know, since we have to leave in December, also identify a temporary location rather than take that office completely offline, since that's our largest office that serves not only, you know, the eastern side of Montgomery, but also Pike Road. And so that's our largest office with volume of people that are coming through. So to the extent that we can determine a location and then also see where we could possibly go temporarily for at least the next 12, 18 months where construction is going on in this new office, you know, would probably be my preference.
Yeah. So we'll keep talking about it and working on it. I will say that based on the list that we kind of went through and where we are now, it is 95% that we're going to construct. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
And I guess I'd forward it over to the commission. And just for the record, I will just say that while we've been undergoing this process, that, you know, Mayor Stone and Pike Road has also expressed an interest in having an office located out there. So I'll just get you all the formal letter and you all can consider it, but just know that they put it on the record as saying that they would also making a request for county services in their community. Thanks.
Let's get on top of the new location.
Yes, sir.
Whether we're gonna build or rent, or whatever we're gonna do on the new.
yes, sir. We'll hope to have you something at least by the second meeting in April.
That'd be good.
Yes, sir.
And I'll say in a public forum, I think it's important for the public to know and hear too. One of the things that we talked a lot about during campaign season is that we've got empty businesses, empty shopping centers, empty buildings that sit, and they're eyesores, and they are they detract from safety, security, and aesthetics. And so I want to just say, I know that we are trying to do all that we can to find a location that we wouldn't have to new construct, but it would absolutely be our top choice if there was a suitable location that didn't require new construction. And I know as folks are paying attention, it doesn't mean that we can just go find anywhere and pop into that building, but I think we need to try.
Yes, sir.
So, and I know y'all know that, but.
That's no problem. Item number 3, consider alcohol license applications for retail beer off premises only and retail wine off premises only to applicant YAM Incorporated for ADA Marathon located at 493 Old US Highway 331, Raymer, Alabama 36069.
Sheriff, you got any opposition to that one? It's off premise. That'll be next agenda.
All right, and item number 4, consider a change order for the Phase 2 renovations at the Montgomery County Detention Facility, Building Number 1. This change order is for 3 essential items in the Montgomery County Detention Facility not involved in the original bid. Replacement of kitchen equipment, $455,000. This will replace all kitchen equipment, and it's not listed in this memo, but it will include 3 dryers as well. As part of the demolition, as we examine equipment that was in the jail, this equipment is past its useful life, and several pieces, like, this is not gonna do when we come back. So we determined that we need to go ahead and do that. Renovation of the U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement Space, ICE, $1.2 million. This will expand the current eye space in the jail to 98 bed capacity for detainees. And lastly, replacement of smoke and evacuation louvers, $4.3 million. Current smoke and evacuation louvers are past their useful life, and the high cost is due to they are no longer manufactured by the original manufacturer, so we're having to pull in pieces from a lot of different places to make the equipment to fit what we have. This is a essential part of the fire alarm system and life safety. The total of all additional improvements is $6,133,158.77. There is money in the current bond to cover these expenditures.
Kendall, the first and third one,
Yes, sir.
did we not know that when we started construction? Why did we not know that?
No, sir, because as we got in and started looking at it, and we with the kitchen equipment, we got in, started pulling the kitchen equipment out. That's when we realized, like, a lot of this kitchen equipment is old. Some of it's broken. Some of it can't be repaired. It just makes sense for us to go ahead and replace it.
We didn't know that before?
No, sir. It was unaware to us. As it relates to the louvers, this is something that when we got into this, after we got into the project, we started looking at fire safety, looking at the fire alarms. Was it what we needed? And after we consulted with the architect, PH&J, as well as Holly Henley, our builder, it was determined you probably need to go ahead and replace these louvers. A lot of them are no longer functioning. And that's when we kind of figured out, after we got into it, that, you know, the architect reached out trying to get replacement figures, and hey, the original manufacturer is no longer even in business. So it became necessary for us to kind of figure out the best way to get this done, because these louvers do have to be operational.
I've had some heartburn in the past about some of our architects not doing the due diligence on the front end. I'm not picking on the ones that did this project, because the one I was complaining about before, about 6 years ago, was entirely different architect. So I'm not in nothing against the two you named, but they need to do a little better due diligence on the front end
I understand, sir.
for us. On the second one, this additional space, Sheriff, that ice space, that's something that is gonna be, we're gonna be able to recoup these costs for the ice space pretty quickly, because there is a need for that space.
Yeah.
And people are willing to pay for that space.
Yeah, yeah, so I already been working on the contract, and that goes along with our federal side too. So
Feds are looking for the space.
Yes.
And they're willing to pay.
they already, yes.
Okay. Any other questions about this?
No, that was a good question. And I was just concerned about that as well. But that's nothing that they can do up front to cover those costs before we make the renovations?
No, because they pay by the day, by the inmates that they have there by the day. So we've already, I think last year, we probably brought in, about 2 million, if not. And then this right here will probably be an additional $2 million again, so,
That return on investment's pretty
Yeah.
quick on this one.
yeah.
Odd question. So we're spending a bunch of money on food service equipment.
Yeah.
Quote comes from Holly Henley Builders. I guess they subbed that out. Do we know who's providing that quote?
Yeah, they did the bid for us.
Yes.
Because they're the ones, but what we did, we went in, we spec'd everything, told them what we had to have so they can make sure they put all the electrical and the gas lines and all that stuff where it needs to be. And then they looked at what we had, and then what we did is had to go to Halt, get some of those companies that specialize in that to come in and say, well, this is what you're gonna need a 3-phase or 2-phase. So during construction, they can get everything stubbed out. So when we bring in the new equipment, it's just plug and play.
Yeah.
And then on the washers and dryers, they were too big to even be moved in and out of our building. We had to really disassemble them, take them in, and then put them back together. So, you're looking at a piece of appliance has been there for years, so it was time to upgrade.
I ain't got no problem with that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Regarding something you, not Chef, it's no, thank you. Regarding something you said about the contractors not doing what we consider due diligence and being able to determine up front what some of the costs will be. We have a lot of cost overruns on a number of things.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
talking
so is any of that language in the contract that governs that particular issue? If you're not, covering all of the items that might be needed in the contract, how do we account for that with the language of the contract to make them more responsible so that we don't have all these overcharges or stuff that they didn't know beforehand that they should have known perhaps? How's that handled in terms of the contract language?
That's a great question. That is something that myself and the county attorney and the sheriff will look into. But I think anytime you do a construction project, there are always going to be things that you find during the course of construction or demolition that honestly sometimes cannot be accounted for. And I think in this instance, maybe some of that could have been avoided, but I don't see a situation where we avoid the louvers being in the situation that they were in.
And it just seemed like they
Also on those
should have
louvers, you
known
gotta take it, they've been in that building since 1985. And what we were doing was just piecemealing them, keeping them running. And once you turn that fan on, that fan runs continuous and it burns out. They can't even find a fan motor. What they were trying to do is fabricate a way of being able to put another motor on just to keep it running. But you're talking, these are for the fire. Something catch on fire, these fans automatically comes on, sucks the air out and all this. They couldn't find a way of fabricating it, and so the only way of them being able to fix it, they gotta bring in a crane, and these go all the way up the side of the building. And so that's why that cost is so, that factor went into it. We thought when they went into it that they can fix it, fabricate it, get it running, but there's no way in the world they can get it
They
doing.
found out after the fact.
Yes.
Okay.
But they
Yes.
were looking.
Oh, yeah, we looked at it in the beginning. Now, they did their due diligence, and the architects went over and we looked at it, and they looked at it, and then once you got in it, couldn't find the parts. And then we were just stuck because we couldn't find the parts, and they said, we're gonna have to replace them. And then the problem is they had to search all over the country to try to find some louvers to go into the existing structure, so they ain't gotta tear out brick and mortar to try to put something in. So when they found something, this is what we have to end up paying.
Yeah, and normally we have overruns, I understand that completely. And sometimes we've had where it's been a little less. The only thing, my point today is to make sure that, and there's really no way to put it in the contract, if they miss something, they're gonna be penalized. You get penalized by not being asked to come back and do it again. So my main point is to make sure that whoever's doing the work for any county estimate, that they do their due diligence to the best of their ability and not just throw something out there and hope it sticks.
Yes, sir. Lastly, Susan Johnson, Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Susan.
I heard that whoop right there.
Yeah, habitat.
I wonder who the chairman of your board is. Do you know who that is?
We're so grateful for Regina being our chair of our board, and for each and every one of you. Thank you so much for having us on today. So we wanted to provide a beneficiary update. We appreciate, and our residents appreciate, and our homeowners and all of Montgomery County appreciates the contribution that from the commission. And I do want to acknowledge Cedric Varner from our team. Cedric is our director of in community engagement and outreach services, volunteer services, I'm sorry. So, on October 3rd, we were ceremonially awarded the $300,000 ARPA funds for new construction. It was designated strictly for that, no administration, anything like that, and we're very, very clear about where that goes. We have a separate account for that according to our beneficiary agreement and all of that. So thank you for those of you who attended. Several of you who are here attended that, which was wonderful. Once we received the funding, because, it takes a little bit, we had our ceremonial groundbreaking. It was a cold December 11th morning, but we were able to get through it. And literally that afternoon, you saw them breaking up the ground all the way so that we could begin. And Regina actually ran and made sure our theme for December was Give the Gift of Home this holiday season. So we had our poinsettias out there for December 11th. And our motto has been, you don't have to lift a hammer to help, because people can actually do other things like tape and mud. They can donate. There's all kinds of things that people can do. They can encourage, they can help us write letters to be able to help with this whole affordable housing that all of us, a mutual goal that all of us have in common. Here's the land prior to groundbreaking and breaking up the land. And these are the new addresses in New Hope Village, 828, 832, and 836 Millard Fuller Drive. And I don't know if you know it, but Millard Fuller is actually the founder of Habitat for Humanity, and he and his wife Linda, they lived in Montgomery. And they moved to Georgia, and they ended up founding Habitat for Humanity. So we actually have that road in New Hope Village dedicated. And our oldest homeowner has been, 27 years approximately? And I got a chance to, since I've been on board in August, to go out to site visits to all of the homes, some because of the repair projects, but others just to be able to reintroduce Habitat to some of them so that we can be able to move the community forward and be able to follow through on commitments that were made years ago. So when the work begins, we breaking up the ground, the plumbing. We have our home builder, certified home builder, and this is how it looked when they first began. These are different stages going through. And as you can see, we even worked through the rain. They worked through the rain. I wasn't out there, to be honest. But through the rain. This, with Habitat model, is we try to be as volunteer heavy as possible. This one, just because we haven't had new construction in a while, we had to do mostly contractor, but we've had 4 or 5 build days, and now we have, because of those, we have more people wanting to volunteer, which is good. Cedric from our team does an amazing job on making sure that the community is aware of what we're doing so that we can receive those additional funds, hopefully, and get those partnerships that will help expand safe, affordable housing, which is our goals. And of course, our sheriff actually led. This is one of the sneak peek to the build day slide, but he actually led a build day with the entire sheriff's department, and we had, you're gonna see one of our other commissioners out here soon in one of the slides, but it was a wonderful day, and from that day, we really appreciate that because it opened up more doors for people calling us and saying, we wanna come help build, we wanna be a part of it, so it was really phenomenal. Now, at the same time that we're building, partner families need to qualify to be able to assume those mortgages, which Habitat does right. We have our qualified loan officer, Cedric, and he actually leads the orientation process. Once we've been on TV a little bit more, we've had a lot of people call in, and they come and they receive orientation. We have a conference room in our Restore building, and in order to qualify, you have to demonstrate need. You have to have a willingness to partner, meaning you have to put in at least 200 sweat equity hours. It used to be 400. Habitat International has lowered that just a little bit because we do have people with disabilities and varying conditions, and up to 50% of those hours can be provided by family members, church members, you name it. And then thirdly, you have to have demonstrate an ability to pay. We do check credit, not your credit score. And we need to see, are you paying something on time? It doesn't have to be a big expense, but can you pay, whether it's we have one person, I believe it's a $152 bill that he's paying on time each month. And you can't have more than $3,000 in non-medical debt on your credit. So we make sure that you actually can afford. We check the debt to income ratio, all of that. And you have a home visit. So we do have a thorough check to make sure that people are qualifying for the program. contrary to what some people believe, we don't give away homes. So going back to our build days, and I believe we can see you there, Commissioner. Are you able to see yourself there in that first picture?
It looks good. It doesn't look as cold as it was that day.
It was cold. We did provide Habitat sweatshirts, and they had a heater that was inside. And the third picture, Anita, who is a painter and all of this, she was beautiful in helping, making sure not just the commissioner, but that everybody else did their mud, tape, and whatever else they were assigned the correct way. In the third picture, you can see the lady who's standing next to me with the glasses is one of our homeowners. Some of you all met her when we had the check presentation, well, her husband anyway. That's the Mayo family, 21 and 23 years old, and clean credit. They literally had one thing in their credit, just a car note. And then Mr. Scott, who's next to her, he and, well, in between, he and his family literally just qualified and signed off on their partner agreement. And these were this was the NCO Academy, correct, Senator? Who was there that day. And what they decided to do, they asked, they said, can we donate our hours to these two families? Because we were working on 828 and 832 Millard Fuller Drive. So each of them were able to receive 35 additional hours toward their requirement of 200 sweat equity hours. And although it was cold, it wasn't a lot of sweating, but it was a lot of work. And here's another stage where we are closer to where they look now. The first home, which is on the right, actually, and I believe, yes, it is on your right as well. We finished the painting is already done. The flooring is down. The last build day that we just had a week ago, put in the cabinets, which was amazing. Regina was even out there with a team of volunteers that she brought, and they were there trying to find out how to get these cabinets in. Thankfully, we had some professionals to make sure it was done correctly, including putting on the knobs, the handles, all of that. And the second home, we're getting a little bit more of that done, with the goal being that these two homes will be ready within 30 days, and our goal is to have a joint dedication so that, and we'll invite you all out, but it will be a wonderful opportunity to be able to see families that were in need of safe, affordable housing be able to have that. And just on a quick note for this middle home, which is 832 Millard Fuller, the homeowner, the new partner family for that home, they literally just had a burnout, complete burnout on Thanksgiving. And so when she got a chance to walk through and see the home, she fell to her knees and just began to cry and thank God and thanked everyone. And a lot of that thanks goes to you all.
Ms. Fuller, I apologize, but I might have to cut you a little short. I want to make sure, you got 2 minutes.
Okay.
I want to make sure.
I think this is my last slide.
Okay, yeah,
So
okay.
I'm already done.
Oh, perfect.
I know how to be brief, be brief, be brief.
But, yeah,
First, let
I want to
Minister-
make sure the commissioners have an opportunity to ask you any questions they may have. If you would share with everybody where New Hope Millard Fuller Drive is.
Sure, it's on the other side of North Pass.
Get close to the mic so people
Okay.
at home can hear you.
Sure, it's on the other side of North Pass, and it's adjacent actually to Trey Lane. You can see here with that street, and off of Alabama River Parkway from the other side.
Any questions?
I just want to thank you for your leadership, for the board, and, housing is so important. Safe, stable, healthy housing is critical. It impacts your physical, your mental well-being, and has so many other, things that it does. And to live in an unsafe, unstable house is really detrimental to your health. So the work you are doing, you're bringing it closer to the public. We see what you're doing. We just really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you all for the funding to make this possible.
I see the $300,000 check signed by Isaiah Sankey. That was.
I wanted to also say to the sheriff, I didn't realize that, and I saw how he was instructing Commissioner Costanza on how to put mud on the wall. I didn't know you could learn on the job. I'll be on the next site.
Okay,
Since-
wonderful.
Yeah, since he's teaching.
Wonderful. We actually have 3 build days coming up soon, and I'll email that information out to you all.
I was going
Thank
to
you
say,
so
Susan,
much.
thank you guys for what you do. You and Cedric both being with you guys, boots on the ground. Y'all are everything. You're the suit in the business room getting the check, and then you're the ones there handing out gloves and hard hats. And in the world of nonprofits and in the world of using money well, that means a lot to us. And you guys are great partners with us. And I know, Regina loves what you guys are doing and is a good advocate as well, but we want to continue to support it. Definitely get us information on those build days. Meg said I don't have enough going on and we got to find something on a Saturday. So
Definitely.
I love it. And I'll teach Isaiah to tape.
Take what?
His
What he
team
gonna take?
actually,
Drywall.
well, I have to tell you, they were the tall team.
Sheriff, listen, if you need a house built, he's bored too. He can do it. He can do it. That man
His
is
team had the
talented.
tallest people. So when we had to get the trim and all of that for the tall mudding, that was their team. That was their assignment. Thank you all for having us today.
Thank you so much, and I hope one day I can get you over there on our side of town, in the West Montgomery, because, and as Commissioner Sankey was just saying, I believe in homeownership because homeownership creates generational wealth.
Yes, it
And
does.
that's something we must continue to do right here in
Yes.
Montgomery, Alabama. So my hat's off to you, Cedric. Hats off to you, thank you, but also to the superstar in the room, Miss Regina Walker. Thank you so much.
And we'd love to schedule a meeting with you to be able to look at your
Let's do
available
that.
housing.
Let's do it so we can continue doing what you're doing. Thank you so much. You took listen, you got this position and you took off running, so you keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you all.
Thank you. We have 3 minutes, and we'll start back at 10 o'clock, so we'll recess for 3 minutes and come back at 10.
I know you threw that 3 minutes at me. I know you did. That's why I did. I know you took 3 minutes at me.
Hey, Mike, Rodney, Mike, hey, Rodney,